Welcome to the Wednesday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Wednesday. Welcome, Echo Resto Dragon, Derry Bennett. Heat, how's it going? Tuesday, Wednesday, if it's not Friday, I don't care. I feel that. Call it, we'll call it Friday the 2nd, okay? It's not really Friday Junior, but we'll call it Friday the 2nd. Tomorrow will be Friday Junior. How's it going, everybody? Hump day, exactly. I hope everyone's doing okay. If you are part of the folks on the West Coast, that's not confusing at all. Friday, would just say Friday Junior Junior. There you go. Friday Friday Junior Junior. Okay. And then when Monday comes rolling around, we'll call Monday Friday Junior 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 Junior. Okay? And we'll just keep going down the row until it's Friday. Shayna Kinlock, welcome. Yeah, Friday's grandbaby. Exactly. Folks, if you're on the west coast of Florida and you are in the path of this monster hurricane, at this point, I would say that at this point it is no longer safe to evacuate. Find the nearest local shelter and do not stay in any of the red zones. Do not stay in any of the areas where there's evacuation orders. It's not safe. This is a very, very powerful storm, and it will cause a lot of devastation. If you have not left at this point, go to the nearest shelter. Michael Hasser, welcome. Damn, so much has happened in so little time. Yeah, by the way, I saw reports of like tornadoes already. Tornadoes already touching down in Florida. Crazy stuff. Tampa is gone. I read this yesterday. We'll go over it. Folks, the usual disclaimer: if you want to keep supporting the channel, there are many different ways. Keep following, keep liking the stream. If you're on the YouTube, consider subscribing. Check out the merch store, folks, and consider also hitting the exclamation mark tip. You can tip your streamer directly. Thank you for your support. You guys are what makes this channel grow. Let's get started, folks. Today we're going to do a slightly small... today and tomorrow we're going to do a slightly shorter stream. My voice is... my voice is losing strength, so... we'll try to get through as much as possible. On that topic... you catch something? No, I've just been working too much because all I do is be on the phone. So we've had unusually like high volumes. So I've been talking a lot. Yeah, indeed. I had no idea your job involved phone calls. I couldn't do it, man. I hear you. People are people, you know? This is what Echo Wrestler Dragon was sharing. Her Florida residents refusing to flee Hurricane Milton told to write their names in permanent ink on their arm. Florida's Attorney General has told people who are refusing to evacuate for Hurricane Milton to write their names in permanent marker on their arm so that their body can be more easily identified. Ashley Moody made the stark comment in a press conference with Republican Senator Rick Scott on Monday addressing residents defying evacuation orders. She said any Floridians who aren't evacuating that you probably need to write your name and permanent marker on your arm so people know who you are when they get to you afterwards. She said that they're still uncovering folks on the beach who thought they could stay there and the storm surge got them. Referencing Hurricane Helene's impact last week, William Tokajere, police chief of Holmes Beach, issued a similar stark warning telling them if you don't leave, you're on your own. Take a pen, write your name and social security number on your leg so that we have a contact if we find you. Like as pretty freaking like dark that is, like it's kind of true because like let me tell you, if that's true that they're expecting 15 feet storm surge in that area, like if you're in that red zone of this storm surge, this is not survivable. Okay? Like this is not the storm to ride out if you are in that area. This is not the storm to ride out in some Florida man fashion because you refuse to evacuate. Because of some I don't know, ego, whatever you want to chalk it off to. If you have the ability, you should be gone at this point. If you cannot evacuate, okay, because not everyone can afford to evacuate, there are shelters that have been opened that have plenty of capacity even now, even at this time. They are nowhere near full of capacity for the shelters that are available in the local areas. You have to contact your local county officials. The point being is you do your best to get out. To get out of there. That's some grim reality check right there. Yeah. Millions of people were desperately fleeing the Tampa Bay region today as Hurricane Milton strengthened on its approach to Florida. The Category 5 storm could make landfall on Wednesday night in the Tampa Bay area. So hours from now, actually, we're looking at hours from now. Maybe a couple of hours. Latest predictions suggest it will hit in less populated areas south of Tampa, but forecasters say it's critical to remember that even at 24 hours out, it's still not impossible to pinpoint an exact landfall location. The 11 Florida counties under mandatory evacuations order are home to about 5.9 million people, according to the estimate from the Census Bureau. Governor DeSantis said the state deployed over 300 dump trucks that had removed 1,300 loads of debris left behind by Hurricane Helene. Those who defy evacuation orders are on their own, and first responders are not expecting to risk their lives to rescue them at the height of the storm. You do not have to get into the interstate and go far away, Mr. DeSantis said on a news conference, assuring residents there would be enough fuel for their cars. You can evacuate tens of miles. You do not have to evacuate hundreds of miles away. Milton is forecast to cross central Florida and dump as much as 46 centimeters of rain while heading towards the Atlantic Ocean, according to the Hurricane Center. That path would largely spare other states ravaged by Helene, which killed at least 230 people on its path from Florida to the Carolinas. Milton is the 13th named storm of the Atlantic season, which started June 1st. So yeah, it's bad, folks. It's not good. Oh yeah, if you need a ride to the shelters, where is it? Here. You can use the code Milton Relief. You can get the Uber app and use the promotion code Milton Relief to get a free Uber ride if you cannot get there on your own to the local shelter. There are hospitals that have patients that are stuck. Yeah, I heard there was one in particular. I don't know if they ever got to those people to get them out. I heard some people got stuck. At this point, I don't know if they can. At this point, it's too late, right? You would think so? Yeah, I think it's too late at this point. Because by now, the storm is almost like basically right there, isn't it? Let me see. Yeah, like the storm is like the storm is almost like basically there. Look at this. It seems like it actually took a slightly it looks like it took a slightly northern path, because like previously when I saw it yesterday, it looked like it was going like more towards here, towards like the center, like right, like literally like on top of Lake Okeechobee, but it looks like it's going to take a slightly more northern approach. They're on the highest floors, I heard now. Sheesh. That's freaking scary. That's freaking scary. My sister-in-law's in Fort Myers. Jesus. Fort Myers is like right here, right? I think we looked at this yesterday. Fort Myers is a little bit down to the south. Hold on. Where is it? Where is my map? I love this the state of Florida. I think it's like 511. Where is it? 5. This one. This is a pretty nice resource. So, the Fort Myers area is right here, and like Milton is going to land more or less like up here. Like right about here. But nonetheless, anybody like on this vicinity should be gone at this point. Anybody in this vicinity. And it looks like by like the maps, you see all these signs? That's all the road closures. They closed all the roads and all the bridges. Yeah, you could see from the traffic cameras, from the traffic cameras on the left that things are starting to things are starting to happen right now. That's sad. St. Pete is one of my favorite places. I hope everyone was able to leave. I hope so too. This is not a joke. Like this storm in particular is not a joke. If you have the ability to evacuate, you should have done so at this point. These are all the bridges out of out of Tampa Bay. All these bridges are closed. Is it still Category 4? That's a good question. It probably is, to be honest. Warnings, interactive map. Maximum sustained winds near 105, or sorry, 120 miles per hour. Category 3. The winds were projected to drop to 3 when it hit land, but all the water is still tremendously dangerous. Yeah. Yeah, the water is really the problem. You're 100% correct. The water is really the issue. I think right now it was 120. I think that is within category 3 status, but yeah, it's the issue is the massive storm surge, because like, even though by the time it hits land it's going to be regardless of the weakening of the storm, the water is that energy was already there. That momentum was already there. Do you believe humans have the power to manufacture natural disasters? Not the way you think. As the Simon Locker points out, we kind of do it. We kind of do it in the long term, right? Never said how I think it is. Like, to be clear, humans don't have the ability to just make up hurricanes, okay? But humans do have the ability through exacerbating the climate crisis by making these hurricanes worse than they are, because we've done this to the planet for decades and decades and decades. The Middle East, that created rain clouds and caused flooding that killed down hundreds of people. Okay, but we cannot manufacture hurricanes, okay? That's not a thing, okay? I don't know either way, but how can you be sure? Okay. I'm not going to entertain this conspiracy nonsense.
A couple of weeks ago, I talked about Marjorie Taylor Greene's spat with Laura Loomer, and one observation.
Like, I just can't. Like, I just can't. Listen, these have been like this has been unprecedented, like back-to-back like disasters, and I just don't have the patience and I don't have the time to deal with like conspiratorial like nonsense, okay? Like I just don't.
That I made in that video was that Marjorie Taylor Greene,
like, if you want to come in here and just do the whole just asking questions, like sea lining, like, no, just go somewhere else, okay?
Almost looked, dare I say, sane compared to Laura Loomer. Not that she is sane, but the juxtaposition really gave her the veneer of sanity. Now, since then, I've been thinking Marjorie Taylor Greene has been a little bit less visible lately. She's, I guess, maybe refrained from going out of her way to say as stupid things as she usually does, perhaps because she doesn't want to hurt Donald Trump. And I'm not sure if she's making a choice here, or perhaps maybe she just matured since she got elected to Congress, which isn't necessarily out of the realm of possibility, even though it seems unlikely. But I mean, a couple of years can really make a huge difference on somebody in terms of their maturity. For me, the difference between me being 18 and me being 20 was significant in terms of my maturity level. And then by the time I reached 25, I was significantly more mature compared to me turning 20. So I was starting to maybe wonder if Marjorie Greene made the same sort of mental leap after seeing the way that she handled that dispute with Laura Loomer. But it turns out I was reading way too much into that, and it was all just an illusion because Marjorie...
Come on, Mike. You don't really mature until 50. Mike, you thought... Man. Mike Figueroa, viewing the world with rose-colored glasses, huh?
Greene is back to her old self. And I don't mean her pre-Loomer war self. I mean her pre-Congress 2019 self when she was talking about Jewish space lasers. And I say this because she took to Twitter to announce her intent to win a Darwin Award, writing, "Raw milk does a body good. Make America healthy again." Now, you don't have to go very far to find out how...
Yeah, like, so let me just be very clear. Like, if all these, like, MAGA people want to, how do I put this? If all these MAGA people want to, like, submit their submissions for their Darwin Award, you know, who are we to stop them? You know, who are we to stop them? If MAGA wants to you know, put their submissions for getting food poisoning with salmonella and other stuff, then, like, you know what? Who are we to stop them, right?
dangerous this is, because the community note under her tweet pointed out that raw milk consumption is linked to E. coli, salmonella, and other foodborne illnesses. And if you watched this program before, you know that I've talked about this as well, after Matt Walsh tweeted that people who drink raw milk were idiots, and then he was subsequently attacked for saying that by his own followers, one of them being another member of Congress, Thomas Massie, who claimed that he's been drinking raw milk for years and had previously boasted about his raw milk collection with the hashtag come and take it. So needless to say, raw milk is becoming a thing on the right, just like being anti-vax.
Yeah, which is, you know what? Like, again, the issue will resolve itself, okay? So, like, if these people want to, like, do this, then, like, hey, man, go for it. No, you know what? Who are we to stop you?
It's now a right-wing thing. But with that being said, when it comes to Massie and Marjorie, to that I say bottoms up. Make sure you finish that entire glass, Marjorie, and drink lots more while you're at it, because you might have not won the Herman Cain Award yet, but a Darwin Award is still very much something that is achievable for you. So make sure that you chug that shit, okay?
Calling the herd self-induced version.
But to be clear, Republicans aren't just raw milk drinking anti-vax flat.
Yeah, like, so just to be clear, like, do not drink raw milk, okay? Like, just, please. Okay.
Earthers now, they're also delusional conspiracy theorists who think that elites somehow are able to control the weather. And I wish that I was making this up, but I'm not making this up. And guess who made that claim? Of course, it was Marjorie Taylor Greene, who tweeted, yes, they can control the weather. It's ridiculous for anyone to lie and say it can't be done. Now, when she says they, I'm honestly not sure if she means Democratic Party elites or Jewish people or both, but she's so confident that it can be done that she took the time to dunk on people who got triggered by her quote-unquote truth-telling by sharing this Wojak of a triggered liberal fact-checking her while sharing various patents for weather modification as if this proves anything. But apparently to her, this confirms beyond a shadow of a doubt that the weather can be controlled, and it is being controlled.
Yeah, of course. This doesn't hurt the general population like being anti-vax, but their kids suffer, unfortunately. That's the sad part. That's the sad reality. You can patent things that don't work. That's true. That's true. Having patents for all these things doesn't really mean anything. Like it literally means nothing. As Figueroa said, yeah, you're right. And yeah, the kids is the sad part. The kids who get indoctrinated and get into this cult here by their parents is the sad part.
But speaking of flat earthers, she got backup from Candace Taylor of Georgia, who ties Democrats controlling the weather to election theft, writing, "The weather can and is being manipulated. Wake up. Stop being ignorant or plain stupid." That's
Candace Taylor. Wasn't this like the flat earther who was like very angry that people were calling her a flat earther when she was literally doing like flat earth propaganda? I could have sworn we actually covered this. Marjorie Taylor Greene is part of the government. Why doesn't she just get the government to stop? Right? Like, if the government is actually really controlling the weather, like, shouldn't she be able to know that? That's a good point. Wasn't she, like, part of the intelligence committee? Like, I'm pretty sure Marjorie Taylor Greene wasn't she in the intelligence committee? Oh, she was in the, Homeland Security. She was in the Homeland Security, my bad.
It's ironic. There's no such thing as coincidences. The most important election in the history of America is 30 days away. Pray! Georgia voting has been compromised and don't know if we will be able to get all our early voting days in. Now, a hurricane is coming straight for Florida. These two states are necessary for a Trump victory. No coincidence. Honestly, reading all of that made me want to drink raw milk myself and just overdose on it. But to her credit, she's at least tying her conspiracy theory to a motive, which is something that other conspiracy theorists don't do because they...
yeah. And of course, the Oversight Committee where she showed, that pic. As a member of Congress, she has full access or mostly full access to state secrets. I mean, I'm sure they get some stuff. I don't know how much clearance they have, but yeah.
Don't really think that much about their conspiracy theories. It doesn't make her better. It just means that she's thought a little bit more deeply about this conspiracy theory, but not that deep. But she's saying Democrats are creating hurricanes in red states specifically to hurt Donald Trump, which makes perfect sense until you realize, oh wait, Kamala Harris is actually competitive in some of these red states that were affected by the hurricane, states like Georgia and North Carolina. So if she's using a hurricane gun to shoot hurricanes at red states to suppress Trump voters, doesn't it logically follow that she's also suppressing votes for people who might want...
There's no logic, Mike. There's no logic here. Okay, like trying to reverse engineer the conspiracy theory here is just pointless. It's an exercise in futility.
To vote for her too? Isn't she hurting herself as well? Don't think that we've thought that far about it. Have we now, Candace?
They're not after President Trump.
They're after you.
He's just
in
standing
the
in their way. And this election is too important and too close for you.
I love this. I love this. I've seen this. I'm way too much of a political frog here.
Save time.
Oh my god. I'm at work. Maybe I'll catch you later. Hey, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. Thank
Furthermore,
you. Enjoy your shift at work.
none of these people realize that we live in a capitalist country, the system that they shill for, and these hurricanes are costly. They disrupt businesses and they prevent people from going to work, which doesn't benefit the capitalist class. Capitalists have a financial disincentive to create hurricanes, even if they could, because they are damaging, they are destructive, they hurt not just people, which they don't care about, they hurt the economy, which is the only thing that they do care about. It hurts their bottom line. But yet these people just think that elites are willy-nilly shooting hurricane guns at certain states, and they're specifically conspicuously shooting the hurricane gun around the same time every year during hurricane season. But maybe they just plan it that way, right? But I mean, this is where we are, right?
Seriously. Might as well paint. You lose as many brain cells, but it's more fun. Think about my fellow healthcare workers in Florida. Stay safe. Stay safe, everyone. Yes. I'm at work too, and I'm not going anywhere.
But this is not new, even though it's sad. And I say it's not new because if you recall, guess who else talked about hurricane guns? Donald J. Trump, who reportedly kept asking when he was president whether or not China was shooting a hurricane gun at us and whether or not bombing them was a proportional response to their hurricane attack. So I think it would be a false equivalence at this point to even compare this to Idiocracy, because the people in that fictional movie are, I think, arguably more sophisticated than the modern day Republican Party. I mean, sure, they were watering crops with Gatorade, but at least they weren't unironically talking about hurricane guns and wanting to bomb other countries to trigger World War III because of their theoretical use of hurricane guns. What does that even look like, by the way? What does a hurricane gun look like? I don't know what to say. But keep in mind, we've only been talking about Republicans with power. But if you look at GOP influencers and celebrities who support Donald Trump, things look so much more bleak. Case in point.
You know they eat babies. That is not bullshit. It's true.
So it's not just...
Jesus Christ. Who is it? Is this Roseanne? It's got electrolytes. It's what the plants want. I think that's the quote. Is this Roseanne?
The dogs and the cats, not just the pets.
Oh, and
It's
Tucker.
not just the dogs and the cats. They're full-on vampires. And everybody still thinks I'm crazy, but I...
Okay. Sure. It's what the plants crave. Gotcha. It is Roseanne. Oh my goodness. Going for the Joanne Rivers look?
I'm not crazy. They're full-on vampires. They love the taste of human flesh and they drink human blood.
First of all, vampires don't eat human flesh, dummy. They only drink human blood. Second of all, what the fuck? It feels like I'm living in the Truman Show and everyone is...
Yeah, there's no response to this, right? Like, there's literally no response to this. It's so, like, divorced from reality. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. Like, what is there to say? Like, this is delusional. Like, this is just delusional.
Purposefully going crazy around me so that way some audience can watch my reaction. I say that as I realize I'm recording this to a camera and you're watching it, but I mean, it's working. If it's purposeful, it's working. I feel like I'm going crazy because what's happening? And furthermore, how long until somebody like that is elected? How long until Roseanne Barr herself is elected to Congress? Don't think it's impossible, because what
I mean, seriously, like, what difference is there from like the levels? Like, we're splitting hairs on like the levels of delusion. Does that make sense? Like, we have a elected member of Congress talking about how I don't know who they are. It sounds like the classic anti-Semitic they. But we have like members of Congress, like an elected member of Congress, talking about Jewish space lasers and how they can control the weather. I mean, like, what difference? Like, how? Like, we're splitting hairs on like the levels of delusion here. Like, we have one person who's literally elected to Congress talking about like how they manipulate weather, and years ago, she went on about fucking Jewish space lasers to this washed out actress talking about how Dems or liberals, whatever, are eating children. Okay, like I mean, like, we're splitting hairs on the levels of delusion here.
most of society once recognized as untreated mental illness is now perceived as bold truth-telling. So rather than seeing that woman and feeling sadness because she's not getting the help that she needs, a lot of people will say, oh, wow, finally somebody said it, right? I mean, George Orwell's 1984 looks tame in comparison to 2024 America. But the pattern here that I'm speaking to is that Republicans keep getting more insane. And we haven't even touched on the political extremism and the overt...
Yeah, and like, I think that it's kind of like a feedback loop, right? Because fascism, like, it kind of spirals out of control like this, right? It is inevitable that we would end up here. That's what I'm trying to say. Because in order to keep going, you have to keep divorcing yourself further and further and further away from reality, right? That's how this works.
Fascism. We've only looked at some of the silly things that they believe. I didn't even mention how Elon Musk, the richest man on earth, is using his platform to claim that undocumented immigrants who can't vote are voting. Or how Republican Congressman Eli Crane claimed that Trump's assassination attempt was an inside job. Or how the Republican Party's candidate for president still refuses to admit that he lost the 2020 election and is already laying the groundwork to deny the results of the upcoming election. Case in point.
Do you trust the process this time around?
Did I what?
Do you trust the process this time around?
I'll let you know in about 33 days. No, look, I mean, 33 days.
In other words, if he wins, the process was fair, but if he loses, the process was unfair. That's what we're dealing with. And as Republicans continue to get more and more extreme, their support is growing among certain groups. For example, non-college educated whites are flocking to Donald Trump. And it would be one thing if Americans saw that one of two major political parties went off the rails and they rejected them. But that's not what's happening. They are still electorally viable. Donald Trump can still win this election. And there are people who are proud to show support for him. They're displaying their Trump yard signs.
It's unbelievable to me, quite frankly.
In their lawns. They're telling us about how much they love Donald Trump, even though every day he speaks, he sounds more like a Nazi when it comes to immigrants. We all know people who support Donald Trump. But listen, I'm going to put this very bluntly because I think that some people need to hear it. We have a mental health crisis in this country, the likes of which we have not seen. And the fact that the Republican Party is even remotely electorally viable is a warning sign that our society is on the brink of collapse. And I'm not being hyperbolic. I mean that. A healthy society doesn't put flat earthers or election deniers in charge. A healthy society gets those people the treatment that they need. Hence, our society is not healthy since we're not doing that. It's sick right now. And it's only a matter of time before they start doing worse things like rejecting germ theory or saying that gravity is a lie or licking toilet bowl seats to own the libs or prove that that's how you can...
I mean... I mean, we're skipping a hop. You know what I mean? Like these people, like people who are like anti-vaxxers to the point where like, you know, anti-vaxxers and flat earthers, they kind of all kind of have the same, like the circles of Venn diagram kind of deal. I mean, we're talking a skip and a hop, you know? Like these people are literally like drinking raw milk with the potential of like getting themselves sick with salmonella and listeria to own the libs, question mark? I mean, like, what's the difference? Really? My very Catholic church receptionist mother-in-law's voting for him. Oof.
Boost your immune system or whatever the fuck they come up with next. But I mean, there's only so much that we can do to help these people. We can save the country still from these freaks, but we can't save them from themselves. So I mean, if they refuse to get vaccinated and they insist on drinking raw milk, then to that I say,
then die.
Like everywhere there's blood.
Whew. All right, the circus continues, folks. The circus doesn't stop there.
Elon and Tucker.
Two cool guys.
Yeah, two normal men hanging out, you know?
Just
I like that they're
just two average Joes, you know. Just two average Joes.
in a white void. I like that they didn't pretend to be in a man cave here. Two normal guys just hanging out, shooting the shit about politics. Don't you want to hang out with these guys? Don't you want to be like these guys?
There's so much to learn from these two guys.
Let's hear these very likable people have a normal conversation about politics with no perverse incentive whatsoever.
If he loses, man, what?
That's because you went on YouTube. That's what I sent you the Twitter link. You're not
Matt Bradley. I think someone needs to lose their week's commissary. Yeah, in a formless void.
not gonna be able to use that. We'll get to it in a sec. I'll read some IMs. They're pulling it. They're pulling it off every place. I tried to find it on YouTube too, but they're pulling it off every place that's not Twitter. Christo, I'm heartening to see the recent billboard yard sign blitz in more conservative Quakertown and Hellertown. Supporters for Harris. Yep. Fart Twain. Sorry, kids. Santa's white. He just is.
Fart
Hottenheim. I've bled more and took longer to heal from accidentally cutting myself with a scythe. Literally such self-important nonsense, making it sound as bad as possible. Maybe if he had ever worked a hard job in his life, he would have some context for getting hurt. No, Trump doesn't like, really, he doesn't like germs. He's very squeamish about things like blood. He doesn't really like crowds. He likes the cheering, but he doesn't like his own supporters.
I kind of like the moment where where he was defensive about how much money he got to start his career.
Yeah.
Like, he was really upset. It's just $100,000.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I in the 70s or 80s?
It was not that, though. Most people estimate it was $100 million.
Even if it was just that, even if it was just $100,000 1980s money, bro.
Right.
I mean,
he's sensitive to the fact that analyses of his wealth show that he would have more money today if he put the money that he got in an index fund versus what he did, aka multiple bankruptcies.
Exactly. I mean,
yeah. I mean, listen, if I had 100,000 of like, even of like back then or now, I mean, come on, that's a lot of freaking money.
He is a symptom.
Exactly. Okay, so we're back. So Tucker Carlson and Elon Musk had an exclusive conversation on the X platform.
The X platform.
The video platform, where we all go to watch videos.
Yeah. The X platform where we all go to watch videos, you know, on X. X.com.
Totally.
Amazing.
Two normal men having a very normal conversation about politics.
One should be wearing socks, but whatever.
I know, but this is the trend. You're not into the
This is the
no-show
rich guy
socks.
on the coast trend. I think.
It very much is the trend of no-show socks. But at least they didn't try to cosplay and go to Tucker's like renovated woodshed place to look like real men. They're in a white void talking to everybody about their political views. Totally not biased, by the way. Elon Musk donating $45 million to Trump's re-election effort every single month. And I don't know. That might have something to do with claims like this.
I try to close X and it's the stupid logo.
If he loses, man, what? You're fucked, dude.
I'm fucked.
Fuck,
If he
dude.
loses, I'm fucked.
It does seem that way. You can't just be like, yo,
Yeah, I'm like, how long do you think my prison sentence is going to be? Do you think? Will I see my children? I don't know.
because it's not like you can say, well, yeah, I maxed out to him, but, you know, I get...
Well, don't threaten us with a good time. Man, I'll vote for Harris just to see that. Just to be clear, that's not happening, okay? Okay. But I would vote for Harris just to see that. Elon wanted to name PayPal X too. Jeez. He doesn't see them now. Yeah, Jinx on Cognizant and Heat.
I have no plausible deniability. No, and I've been trashing Kamala nonstop.
Oh, I know.
Well, the Kamala puppet, I call her. You know, the machine that the
Yeah, so totally not biased, right? Thanks, Elon.
Kamala puppet represents.
Yeah, she's irrelevant. I mean, she's not even...
No, I made a joke which I realized I deleted, which is like nobody's even bothering to try to kill Kamala because it's pointless. What do you achieve? Nothing.
No, it's totally
Just find
right.
another puppet.
Exactly. That's...
It's no point in killing.
It's deep and true, though.
Nobody's trying to kill Joe Biden.
It's deep and true, bro. Amazing. Sorry, through. It's deep and true, though. Phenomenal.
It would be pointless.
Totally. You actually put that up?
Yeah. Now, some people interpreted it as though I was calling for people to.
Yeah, whatever, dude. Listen, you can try to spin this any way you want, but like, we all saw the tweet, and like, let's be freaking honest. You probably got a call. Yeah, Michael Hasser's picking up what I'm throwing down. You probably got a call from Secret Service, and you took it down. Okay, come on.
Assassinator, but I was like, no, even I was like, doesn't it seem strange that no one's even bothered to try?
It's not worth it.
I mean,
there's an endless supply.
It's just jokes, bro. I think Secret Service should probably pay him another visit for this video.
Yeah, like nobody would. It's absurd.
It could be anybody.
Yeah. Nobody's gonna try to. Nobody tries to assassinate a puppet.
Of course not.
None of these guys can talk.
Yeah, marionette. It's just like,
it's hilarious.
So funny. It's so funny.
What? She's safe.
Is he drunk? Probably. I don't know.
I like to try to kill Trump twice with actual guns and bullets.
Okay.
Fried chicken and wontons.
Like, it's so freaking absurd.
So, I am so sick of hearing this bullshit about how the Democrats have incited violence against the dear President Trump. But you have one of the richest men on earth and the formerly top-rated cable host on the planet, Tucker Carlson, before he had to leave Fox News because he cost them millions and millions of dollars because Fox News repeated election lies about
asshole and K-hole
Dominion and voting over and over again, and Tucker Carlson was one of the primary liars on that front. They had to get rid of him for that reason. I don't want to hear one more thing about how Democrats, because they call Trump a dictator, or some Democrats may go as so far as to call him Hitler. I reserve that for Netanyahu, but some Democrats may call him Hitler 2.0, that is the same as the incitement to violence that is perpetual on the right, and they open their interview just
I mean, like, all these freaking like people who are bemoaning, like, they're inciting violence and whatever. Like, listen, bro, listen, okay? Just do a quick mic drop over here, okay? Is this you?
Lion Kamala.
Is this you?
Please raise your hand. Please raise your hand. Actually, I should say don't raise your hand. It would be very dangerous. We don't want to see anybody get hurt. Please don't raise your hand.
Yeah, is that you? Is that you?
Musing about how, why would you even bother? Why even try to kill Kamala Harris? Kamala Harris. I'm sounding like them. Go on.
They posted my exact real-time location, basically assassination coordinates, in obvious direct violation of Twitter terms of service. Okay.
This is when he banned the the account that was tracking his private jet.
How much he flew around,
Doing the same for Taylor Swift, they were right, and his assassination coordinates, trying to call him out for being a climate criminal. That's apparently also an incitement to violence, but hilariously musing about assassinating Kamala Harris, and why has no one bothered yet? Oh, she's just a puppet. What does that mean? It's so the whole right-wing ecosystem, first of all, like, he says the same thing as Joe Biden, but that's more of a throwaway line. Like, the assassination attempt on Trump didn't prove anything. We know that this Groyper dude was looking up when both Biden and Trump were coming to town. Perhaps it was more likely that Trump was coming to town because Biden wasn't doing any freaking public events. So that's what he landed on. It's not about the threat to the system, and they can't define the system. It's just a threat to his pocketbook.
Well,
right, like, because then they would have to like admit, they would have to admit that, like, actually, it's not, because like we would, the whole thing folds when you realize that Trump is the system. Trump is an oligarch. Trump is a capitalist. Trump has a lot of money, wealth, and influence and power because of all his wealth. So yeah, I think there's no point another puppet would come in as him trying to avoid a clear threat to the president on his show. Yeah, that's a good point, because that would warrant another visit from Secret Service, to be quite frank. I love how Musk completely gave up on the whole going to Mars thing the second he purchased the world's biggest megaphone. Goes to show it's only ever about ego. Yeah, I mean, yeah. A oligarch caring about anybody else but himself? Yeah.
Also, like, there's no consistency, obviously, but they were just saying a few weeks ago that Biden was cooed by Kamala Harris because it apparently does matter with them, that it does matter that she's the one in charge all of a sudden.
Yes.
So actually, maybe there's some inconsistency there. I mean, yeah.
Just a little bit.
How if Kamala Harris wins, that's why Elon Musk won't see his children again. Or could it be the fact that he doesn't have a relationship with a lot of his children, including his trans daughter, who he misgenders on a daily basis?
Yeah, and I mean, there should be consequences if Kamala does win for this guy. There should not be military contracts signed with a guy like Elon Musk.
No.
There should be, I mean, the way that private contracts are given out by the military-industrial complex itself is under question. But you certainly cannot be an edgelord that's buying up major communications platforms for to make sure your investments and elections go the way that they want. He's a joke. It's a joke the way that he's allowed to just gallop all over our country. And he came here undocumented. Not that I usually care about that stuff, but if you're going to go to the border and put a camera at people who are trapped under a goddamn overpass, waiting to get processed, I think he should be kicked out of the fucking country. Frankly, not just no contracts, but Obama gave him $333 million to keep Tesla alive. 15 years ago, and this is what we.
This is what he does with it. I mean, this is how, by the way, the entire tech industry has gone. Where the Democrats played footsie with Facebook, that ended up being Meta. Now Mark Zuckerberg is cozying up to Jim Jordan to say, actually, you were totally right about our bias. If you get into power, please don't come after us. And Elon Musk, another Silicon Valley guy that had all these promises for Democrats about electric vehicles and saving the planet. And what do you know? He ends up being just as much of a right-wing reactionary as any of these folks. Peter Thiel, also enabled by this kind of deference to these capitalists. And they end up always, when their industry gets big enough and they want to make more money, they go to the right wing, where they're going to get an even more cozy reception. But their power was midwifed by the Democrats in this regard. Ramona Frankenstein writes in, this is a great point. Remember when Trump was telling people to liberate Michigan and then a militia planned to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer? I mean, yeah. This is the same. This is why also his whining about the rhetoric on the side of the Democrats is just like, if you're not a MAGA person, you already don't buy it. Here's, two very normal men.
Peter Thiel and Elon Musk there, two guys who were already just right-wing freak nematode style Tooms from X-Files mutants, but they struck it big with this PayPal stuff, and so now they have money just to throw around and distort the entirety of our society. And so we have stupid trucks and I can't wait for the Doge government efficiency office and all that stuff. It's a great future we have with two guys.
That's just so absurd. That's just so absurd. It's how everything goes now. Large companies don't budge a micron without tens of billions doled out by the government.
Guys, two totally normal guys.
Do you like how it says X.com on the cards that they're holding?
I do. I mean, this is why
I've been trying to do this for 20 years.
Baby brain dude is just obsessed with the idea of X.com. He'd been holding on to that. He'd been holding a grudge with the other PayPal guys for not changing PayPal to X.
I mean, go look at, you saw how Musk stumbled over his words with Tucker Carlson here. Go look at Thiel in Oxford. Like, neither of these guys, they've lost the capacity for actual human communication. And they're supposed to be the sort of lords of innovation. Please.
Lords of innovation.
And no one, to the stuff about Kamala being a puppet, who are the puppet masters in this situation? Because it's both.
Right, but that's the thing. Because if you answer that question, the whole it falls. It falls apart, right? The whole house of cards comes down. Because if you actually inquire on who the puppet masters are, they would, on the face, they would talk about how it's rich people and oligarchs that control everything and they corrupt government. But they are rich oligarchs corrupting government. Elon Musk is a rich oligarch corrupting government, arguably the quote-unquote puppet master, right? Spending tens of millions of dollars on elections.
I mean, we can know what at least Tucker Carlson is alluding to with his audience. It's Jewish people, basically.
Right. Well, yeah, Tucker Carlson is a Nazi, so yeah.
Basically, but
not the Zionists.
and that's what's right. Not the Zionists, just Soros, and then the Jewish people that we don't like for their for their conspiracy
The
theory.
DEI Jewish people.
Well, although Tucker does try to go down this road and say that actually we should care about Palestinians, but only the Palestinian Christians, because this is anti-Christian discrimination.
Right.
But who are the puppet masters that is both forcing Joe Biden out of the race, and then once doing that, they are also using Kamala Harris as a marionette, as Elon Musk laughs at his own joke there. Like, who are those forces? Who could they possibly be? They never define it. It is true that Biden, after his horrific debate performance where it was clear that he was declining, the Democratic Party apparatus, along an agonizing three-week period, came together to push him out of the race because it was quite clear that he would lose and destroy Democrats down ballot. In the Senate and in the House, it could take multiple election cycles for the Democrats to recover. So that's the big puppet master conspiracy theory there, that the Democratic Party realized that it was in their electoral self-interest to get rid of Joe Biden, and Joe Biden was the incumbent, so he had power in that situation. He held on for dear life until he couldn't possibly anymore after Nancy Pelosi was basically threatening him to go even more public with her protestations. Now Kamala Harris is in charge, and it's not even worth assassinating her because her puppet strings are being pulled as well. But how? Can you define that? They can't.
They won't.
Because at the end of the day, this is Elon Musk's bottom line that he's worried about.
Right, exactly. They won't. They can't, and they won't, because the whole thing falls apart if they do.
He's worried about investigations into the obvious political biases of Twitter. He acquired Twitter in 2022 by saying that he wanted to get rid of political bias in there, and that Twitter may have engaged in, according to him and Matt Taibbi, election interference by temporarily restricting the New York Post article that published Hunter Biden's news, which were supposedly taken.
Right, and like this whole like BS story, like, come on, man. We all know that it was never about any of that, okay? We all know that it was never about any of that, and now we have like clowns like Taibbi ending up in what is it, Save the Republic rallies with Jordan Peterson and Russell Brand for Donald Trump,
from a laptop that was abandoned at some shop. No one knows how they actually got this material. It could have been hacked in the same way that this dossier about J.D. Vance, which had information about his positions, that Elon Musk has banned Ken Klippenstein for publishing that dossier. Banned him. But it was apparently his acquisition was to take over Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
To remove political bias for free speech. And now he's stumping
grand free speech warrior. These people never cared about free speech. It was never about that. Never about that.
For the Republican candidate jumping around at his rally like a little toddler. The creepiest toddler you've ever seen. And banning people that post things that are critical of Trump's running mate. So.
And you may have mentioned this as well. We've obviously mentioned this a number of times before, but I also think there was an addition that we may have not discussed as much in the time frame. But, we talk about Elon censoring certain voices and tweets about voices in India critical of Narendra Modi.
Yep.
Just recently, Vanity Fair was reporting how Musk had been also censoring voices of certain people on Twitter in regards to the Turkish elections. So, like,
yeah, and like, do you see like Matt Taibbi jumping on this? Well, hey, where's Glenn Greenwald? Right, another famous free speech warrior. Where's his reporting on that? Oh, wait, doesn't exist.
It's extremely conditional where the free speech warrior decides to fight.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our...
Samuel, if I unsubscribe, if I hit the subscribe button, I'm going to unsubscribe, and I can't do that. Okay? So quit asking me to hit the subscribe button. Glenn works for Chris Hedges as a fake leftist. Why I left the left kind of dude. Yeah. Yeah, I don't particularly think that I don't particularly think that Glenn Greenwald falls in with the left. Not anymore, or maybe he never did. And like to think that like he actually had some credibility at some point as a journalist, and just to throw it all away. All right, folks, I think I got one more article because I'm not sure. I'm not sure we'll cover this, but if we can, we will. I just set that up to turn the left on itself. Glenn was always a fake, cashing out his credentials. Yeah, I can buy that. I completely can buy that because like we were talking about yesterday, like, you know, if you truly believed in these principles, if you truly believed on these principles, like it wouldn't be that easy. It wouldn't be that easy to cash out on your principles like that. Especially being someone like who's supposedly respected, like Glenn Greenwald, and even Matt Taibbi was a respected journalist who did a lot of good reporting back in the day. Same with Brianna Joy Gray and Max Blumenthal, Jimmy Dore, all that Hedges crew. And pretty soon we'll have Kasparian joining the ranks as well. Really quickly, folks, see if we can get through some of this. I'll see if we do this one too. As Milton misinformation swells, some Republicans try to course correct. Well, it's too freaking late, man. It's your party. She hates. That's true. A handful of rightfully so. To be fair, to be clear, a handful of Republicans are pushing back against misinformation emanating from their own party about Hurricane Milton hours before the massive storm is set to pummel Florida's Gulf Coast. I'd love to see her make nice with him. Former President Trump and his allies. He is a ishhead. Former President Trump and his allies have made increasingly bizarre and misleading claims about the federal response to Milton and Hurricane Helene, which hammered the southeastern United States last month, leaving over 200 people dead. FEMA Administrator Dion Criswell said on Tuesday that conspiracy theories, especially those surrounding the agency, are absolutely the worst I have seen. But as millions of Florida residents evacuate or hunker down in preparation of one of the largest storms to ever make landfall in the state in 100 years, by the way, some GOP lawmakers are attempting to redirect the narrative. Dore is irrelevant now. Hedges uses Dore and the others to destroy the momentum around the squad. Quote, we live in an era where if you put crap online, you get a lot of people to share it and you can monetize that. That's just the way it is, said Florida Governor DeSantis, who told reporters this on Wednesday in response to a question from Politico about misinformation. But if you're hearing something that's just outrageous, just know that in the state of Florida, none of that stuff would ever fly. Be careful about the nonsense that gets circulated and just know that the more titillating it is, the more likely it is that somebody's making money off it and they don't really give a damn about the well-being and safety of people that are actually in the eye of the storm. I mean, like, that's all great and all, but, like, you're the governor of Florida, dude. Like, your whole job is to is literally to protect the people of Florida in this situation, right? Like mobilize state assets, do your job as the executive in Florida, and presumably one of those would be to make sure that people have the right information, right? Like, so basically the response to all this is, people just post some outrageous stuff and like maybe you shouldn't just believe everything on the internet. Okay, dude, but like, that's it. Christina Pushaw, spokesperson for DeSantis, cautioned people to beware of outlandish claims spreading online while disparaging news outlets as untrustworthy. What? That's freaking disgusting, man. Like, that in and of itself is like pretty freaking harmful, man. Like, you can't be doing that kind of stuff in this situation. If you wouldn't believe a New York Times story based solely on anonymous sources, and I wouldn't, you shouldn't believe an engagement baiting posts like these that make outlandish claims without evidence. Okay, but like, this is tomato, right? This is a false equivalency. You're literally saying that like you shouldn't believe like news outlets, like actual news outlets, versus like rage or bait posts online. Like, you're making the false equivalency of like actual reporting and news corporations versus like Bob on his Facebook account spreading like misinformation. Like, that is absurd and quite frankly dangerous. Conspiracy entrepreneurs, I like that. Media literacy, learn it, people. Yeah. Pushaw said on Wednesday on Twitter, along screenshots of false posts that had thousands of likes. Right, and like, you are making the false comparison between like thousands, like between like social media posts and like actual news organizations. This is so freaking absurd. Likewise, you shouldn't believe every TikTok video of someone crying in their car. Anyone can post anything for engagement, and there's no way to verify if they're telling the truth. Natural disasters like hurricanes are prime topics for online engagement farming because people are paying attention to it. Right, so like, why not list and give the proper information, right? I think the problem is here, like, a lot of the misinformation is coming from the right wing and it's coming from their own base and they know it. So they can't like be very direct and call this out because they would piss off their supporters. Because like, chances are, and I would be willing to bet American dollars on this, that the main perpetuators of misinformation, especially around these two hurricanes and, you know, these last, 2 weeks or so, are Trump supporters and far-right people and right-wing conservatives that are engaging in this post. So yeah, I think that like what's going on here is like they can't actually like directly say like, hey, stop it, because like it's their people, it's their base that's doing this. Right wing likes anything that undermines reality, right? Because it needs that. Like, that's how that's how the cult works. Florida Representative Carlos Jimenez was even more direct in targeting members of his own party, writing on social media. Right, like you see the difference here, because like you would have to acknowledge that the call is coming from inside the house. You get it? On social media on Wednesday, that GOP representative Marjorie Taylor Greene and others who think like her are that humans can control the weather need to have their heads examined. Last week, Greene wrote on social media that yes, they can control the weather, adding it's ridiculous for anyone to lie and say it can't be done. It remains clear who they are. I can take a guess, Mrs. Jewish Space Laser Lady. Greene has since doubled down on her initial post, posting a meme that cited various patents as ostensible proof that the weather can be controlled. And on Tuesday, she posted a link to an article in the ultra-conservative and sometimes conspiratorial The Gateway Pundit. Cool. That cited various scientific practices, including cloud seeding, as proof that the weather can be controlled. Humans cannot create or control hurricanes, Jimenez said. Anyone who thinks they can needs to have their head examined. Yeah, it is the harp crap. Like, listen, there's a big difference between like cloud seeding and like manufacturing hurricanes that like are that huge, okay? Okay, like there's a difference between like cloud seeding and like manufacturing hurricanes. So standards for elected officials need to be tweaked. Yeah, something like that. A spokesperson for Green did not respond to request for comment on Jimenez's comment. Criticism, I should say. This is very harmful and quite frankly, disgusting that these people are perpetuating all this. The cloud seeding was part of an effort to lessen the effects of hurricane. Like, I don't even know, like, why would that even come to play? Because, like, we don't even do that. We don't even really engage in cloud seeding in the Gulf or in those areas where the hurricanes are coming from anyways, right? It was discontinued in the 80s. Probably because it didn't work. Okay? That's probably why it was discontinued. Probably because it didn't work. The cloud seed heavily here in Utah and it barely makes a difference. There's a long tradition of randos looking at things like Doppler radar, not understanding the technology and saying it's weather manipulation. Evidence was inconclusive. There you go. I mean, like, because it, like, come on, people. Like, cloud seeding cannot intensify or touch hurricanes because, like, the whole point is essentially to, like, make it rain, to the extent that it can. The conditions for that also have to be, like, perfect as well. It's not. It's a whole deal. So to think that, like, people can actually control, like, hurricanes to manufacture, construct, or even direct hurricanes, okay, it is absurd. It's because cloud seeding is massively inefficient. Certainly not causing deaths of hundreds in the Middle East either. Yeah, I don't know. It just seems implausible. Like, the claim on itself seems kind of... It doesn't pass the sniff test, okay? Like, I don't need to look too far into it to be like, you know what? I think there's a problem with that, with that assertion there. Anyways, like, the point being is, you know, this is absurd. This is getting out of hand, and it's hurting people. It really is. Like, these conspiracy theories that have been popping up around what's been happening in Appalachia here, just a few hours from here, is really hurting people. Okay, it's really hurting people who need help, and it's not okay. People who are spreading this misinformation, including elected officials like Marjorie Taylor Greene, are hurting people. They are hurting people, and the same goes for this hurricane that's at the West Coast right now. Okay, like, please, you know, it's part of the undermining of our institutions. I agree. I agree. It certainly helps to do so. Makes sense is what I'm trying to say. All right. Well, I guess we can do this one. Milton threatens to trigger flood insurance reckoning for Congress. So, yeah. Hurricane Milton is a monster storm set to hit western Florida on Wednesday night. It is poised to deplete the finances of the government's chronically in debt flood insurance program. Congress is already bracing for a fight over what to do about it. Key lawmakers and aides are beginning to game out the likely impact of the National Flood Insurance Program, which is the primary option for millions of American homeowners to protect their finances from catastrophic flooding. Whew. I thought cloud seeding was used for, like, severe droughts. Yep. Today I learned that those storm knots who fly planes into hurricanes can improve forecasts up to 20%. The GOP wants to defund them. Yep, they want to defund the National Weather Service. They want to defund, I think something else. Was it NOAA? You would, yes, okay, gotcha. You need several squadrons C-130s flying around, dumping tons of silver iodide and dry ice into warm clouds to get ice crystals to form. The emerging views of several several lawmakers and staffers is that the NFIP claims that spurred on by Milton and last month's Hurricane Helene will likely exhaust the program's nearly $5 billion in funds and force it to tap $9.9 billion in Treasury borrowing authority. While the NFIP collects premiums and pays out claims similar to typical insurers, it has been upside down financially because of weakness in how it assessed flood risks for decades and giant losses brought by devastating storms, including Hurricane Katrina. Like the climate crisis, the point of the story and why I'm even bringing any of this up is because, like, the climate crisis is unsustainable, okay? This is not sustainable. This is not sustainable at all. And, oh, this is a very interesting article from NOAA themselves. Thank you. Yeah, take that on for size. I'll repost it again. I don't know if humans lose their habitat. It's all the other creatures we're taking with us. Yep, I agree. Poor animals. We made this bed. That's for sure. But all the other life in this planet did not. I mean, it was the first thing I could find that backed up what I was saying. I saw it elsewhere. Yeah, no, this sounds good to me, especially with the source. Yeah. So in conclusion, they really can't. Like, there's literally, like, we just can't, okay? The amount of energy hurricanes generate, the amount of power that hurricanes generate is just, like, we just can't. We just humanly impossible for us to be able to, like, do much about it, really, is what I'm reading. Watching us destroy our own petri dish. Some on Capitol Hill expect that Hurricane Milton could push the NFIP to the edge of what it can borrow from the Treasury, potentially forcing Congress to raise its borrowing cap or pursue some kind of alternative funding to ensure that claims are paid. Nearly 2 million NFIP policies are in areas hit by last month's Helene or threatened by Milton, which has shifted between, a category 4 and 5 this week. Milton is expected to cause much bigger losses than Helene. Cool. Which hit hardest in areas with relatively low levels of flood insurance coverage. Florida has more than 1.7 million NFIP policies. The fundamental question is here, where will $15 billion be enough to cover Helene and a Category 5 that hits Tampa? Said one House Financial Services Committee GOP staffer granted anonymity because the person wasn't authorized to speak publicly. No, $15 billion would probably not ultimately be enough. That kind of says it all, right? The looming disaster is set to rekindle long-running political conflicts about how to shore up the program. Congress has struggled with how to revamp the NFIP amid clashes on whether changes would drive up the cost of coverage and housing. The prospects for an emergency intervention to ensure claims are paid if such move is necessary post Milton are likewise looking fraught as opposing ideas emerge on how to bridge this gap. Among them, whether to simply raise the NFIP's borrowing authority, appropriate money to pay policyholders, or cancel more NFIP debt, as Congress did with $16 billion in debt forgiveness to pay claims after 2017's string of hurricanes. Hey, here's a question: Why can't we maybe, I don't know, just take? Yeah, I was going right. I was heading in that direction, Michael Hasser. I was heading in that direction. Why is it that we just can't simply just I don't know, take that money from the hundreds of billions of dollars that we spend on the military industrial complex? Please, don't tell me that we don't have the money. You just don't want to reapportion it to the priority. You just don't see helping Americans as a priority. Is what you're saying? Is what we're getting at? Is what we're getting from here. It's nearly impossible to try to get any type of consensus on this, said Representative Garrett Graves, a Louisiana Republican. The way that we prepare for disasters and the way we recover them just needs to be fundamentally changed, because at the end of the day, disaster victims are re-victimized by the stupidity and inefficiency from our federal government. Yeah, hey, and whose fault is that? That's really rich coming from a Republican. That's really freaking rich coming from a Republican. Military is the top thrasher of the climate anyways. True. Graves said in an interview that he raised the issue with the House Financial Service Chair Patrick McHenry. On Monday, the House Financial Services and Senate Banking have jurisdiction over the NFIP and its borrowing authority. My takeaway was that McHenry's frustrated by all the landmines out there in the flood insurance space. According to the House aides granted anonymity, McHenry and the lead Democratic member of this committee, Representative Maxine Waters of California, have been clashing on views on how to free up cash for claims if such a move is warranted, despite coming together in the past on long-term reform plans. McHenry would favor raising the NFIP's borrowing cap or appropriating funds, while Waters has long advocated for debt forgiveness. Congress has imposed a $30.4 billion limit on the NFIP's ability to borrow from the Treasury. McHenry and Waters spokespeople declined to comment. Lisa Petto, who worked on the NFIP issue as a former Financial Service Committee chief counsel to Waters, said she expects the borrowing authority to be raised as it has in the past, but that it's less clear whether there's political will to forgive that debt. Amazing. The climate crisis is unsustainable, folks. It's just not sustainable. We can't keep doing this year after year after year after year, because make no mistake about it, the frequency that this is going to be a thing is going to increase every time, every year, with every hurricane season. And having multiple double digits $1 billion events is just not sustainable. Okay, it's just not. In a normal, rational, sane world, this would have immediately triggered talks about how to deal with the climate crisis. But instead, we have to sit here and listen to members of Congress talk about how whether or not we can manipulate hurricanes, or whether or not hurricanes are being targeted to Republican areas. This is just, it's quite frankly frustrating and sad, and angering all at the same time. Because the real conversations are not being had. The real conversations that need to happen aren't happening. But I suppose this benefits the oil industry, and they like it that way. All right, folks, it's time for me to get out of here. I'm going to have some soup. Thank you all for stopping by. I appreciate it. If you guys enjoy the content, don't forget to hit the follow button if you haven't already done so. And if you're on the YouTube, keep liking the stream. I see you guys. Thank you guys on the YouTube. Subscribe there as well. We have 258 of you there. And if you want to support the channel, there are many different ways. Consider checking out the merch store. It's pretty cool, actually. Join the Discord, folks. We do movie events, and there's awesome people in the Discord. And of course, if you want to support the channel, there are many different ways. Check out the merch store and the exclamation mark tip if you want to tip your streamer directly. Look at that. Thank you, Michael Hasser. Thank you, Heat, for modding the chat. I appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow tentatively. We'll see. We'll see how things play out for tomorrow. I appreciate you guys. Thank you all. Yes, the movie night next 3 Saturdays. The climate change deniers must believe that it's the Dems doing it. They do. Yeah, they do. Thank you all for stopping by. We'll be back tomorrow tentatively, or if not, Monday. Either way, if you want to support the channel, there's the links. And consider joining the Discord, folks. It's a nice, cozy community. As always, folks, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. See ya. Thanks, good job. I couldn't do it. I appreciate it. Hang tight, folks. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.